Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Latest Vikings news. It's time for some Vikings news.
Oh, here we go.
Today we have, later on this afternoon, we have the pre-training camp press conferences, Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. But before then, we're going to hit you with two different episodes of Purple Daily. We'll do latest Vikings news here and a random Viking of the week. And then we'll get our guy Darren Doogie Wolfson in for some injury updates and some camp preview items as well. And then Judd's camp notes going strong later on this week here. But we start at MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. And I woke up this morning.
Yes, sir.
Checked the old humidity. 96% humidity this morning in the Twin Cities.
Yep. So guess what? If you haven't listened to Sports Dad yet, and you have not got that AC in fine condition, now is the time to do that. And my friends at MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air can do exactly that. You are going to want to beat the heat, beat the humidity, which is no fun at all. And may I suggest, a $49 AC tune-up is a no-brainer for a peace of mind, not to mention the comfort of you and your family. Repairs, installs, reliable service, that's what they're all about. Also, get ahead of the game, ask about their Total Comfort Club membership, and know that your system will be taken care of all year long. MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Contact them, 651-615-4292, or check out their website, callmsp.com, callmsp.com, and beat that gross, sticky weather outside. Anybody got any Vikings news?
Yes, we do, Sports Dad.
Good.
We start at ESPN.com. Your old colleague and excellent Vikings beat writer Kevin Seifert wrote an article here that I think this dropped yesterday morning. Inside the Vikings' creative plan for JJ McCarthy's lost rookie season. And there's some really good anecdotes. A couple of these things we've heard maybe snippets of them throughout the last year, but I just want to read you like 5 or 6 highlights from this article, and then you guys can react accordingly here. I mean, the goal was, how do you keep JJ McCarthy in the mix, engaged and developing as much as possible while he's on crutches for, weeks at a time and recovering from what turned out to be multiple knee procedures. So for 1 hour a week last fall, Kevin O'Connell cleared his calendar. He put aside game planning, practice prep, film study. He ensured he had no team meetings scheduled, no news conferences, no phone calls that needed to be returned. Instead, during this block of his schedule, Kevin O'Connell turned his focus to the franchise's most important long-term asset, JJ McCarthy. The pair spent that hour every single week, one-on-one in Kevin O'Connell's office, to ensure McCarthy's rookie year was not a total loss. And then just like one thing to follow up on, then we can keep going through here. O'Connell timed the meetings for what he called the sweet spot of the game week, usually on Thursdays after the coaches presented the majority of the offensive game plan to the team, to the rest of the coaching staff, including the third down package. And by that time on Thursday afternoon, McCarthy had already observed Darnold's assimilation of the game plan during quarterback meetings. And when those meetings would end, active players went to the locker room to prepare for practice. McCarthy would head to O'Connell's office to go through a mental process that the rookie otherwise would have experienced on the field. So what are your thoughts? It took Mike Zimmer 4 years to carve out an hour for Kirk Cousins, a healthy Kirk Cousins, and now McCarthy gets FaceTime even when he's hurt.
Well, and O'Connell talked a lot during the season about that, about the fact that he basically would spend an hour a week at least with McCarthy, just going through philosophies and game plans and things like that. I think it's how you develop a QB. Aside from the fact that he couldn't practice, which is a negative, okay? Aside from that fact, the year of learning itself, I think will be a great thing. It would have been nice if he could have practiced, but if he hadn't played and could have been out there to run the scout team, and there's an interesting anecdote in there about scout team work as well, but that to me, like that, how valuable is that? You're spending time with O'Connell. You're probably spending a ton of time with Josh McCown. Like, you are getting hands-on tutelage and being treated as a first round pick, you should be as a special student, but you don't have the pressure of playing, which you can find a lot of people that say a lot of these kids, for every Jaden Daniels, there's 5 guys who probably shouldn't really play their first year. And by the way, that doesn't make them busts. That makes them trying to learn a very intricate system in a league where grown men are going to pulverize you if you screw up. So, yeah, I think it was great. And I loved the internal strategy of the Vikings with JJ McCarthy, I thought, was brilliant.
And part of that strategy was, to this next little nugget here, McCarthy had access to the traditional game film from the games, and then they have like the practice film. They film, the all 22 of practice, as well as a dedicated camera that the Vikings attached to Sam Darnold's helmet, allowing the rookie to see not only where Darnold looked pre-snap and post-snap, but also to hear what Darnold was saying in conjunction with the offensive line and even the defensive signals. And this is not the first time we've heard of this type of technology or process. I mean, Jaden Daniels, it sounds like throughout college, really expedited any quarterback that's either hurt or a backup and not getting the in-game or practice reps now has access to these expedited reps where, think about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, you would, if you were a backup quarterback or you were hurt, it was kind of like you'd watch the games and you could get your hands on maybe the all 22, but in terms of simulating the actual view of the quarterback under center, the advancements in the last 10 or 15 years have been pretty incredible. So he got to experience pretty much every snap of practice through the eyes of Sam Darnold last year.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that, which was cool. I wonder, and I think the team would probably balk at this, and it might be a problem for us. How much do you think the Purple Daily Audience would pay for just to have a camera on Judd's head during training camp notes, and as he's just on a swivel, looking all over the place, walking around? We open a Patreon account just for that. Man, I think people would love it. People would love it.
Well, he's spending a lot of time staring at Theo Jackson.
Yeah.
It's been like 20 minutes. I think we can.
Or it's just a live cam with a tripod, and it's just his notepad. It's just the scribbles on the notepad, just to see that. That way we don't have to show
Good
the plays.
luck reading my writing.
Yeah, you have to read your writing. But people would pay for that. People pay for weirder stuff. I don't know, man.
They do pay for weird stuff.
I mean, the WNBA the players just live stream like 72 hours over the weekend at nightclubs, like going to sleep. If there was a fixated camera on the handwritten notes of Judd's camp notes, I'm with that. I'd be in on this.
That might be possible. I can tell you right now, if they can see the practice field, that's out. The Vikings would object wholeheartedly. But yeah, this whole thing was, and the thing about this too is, from the moment McCarthy, I think, got hurt, or heck, before that, this was the coordinated plan too. So like, Seifert did a great job of encapsulating what the plan was, and we knew bits and pieces, and his piece did a great job of bringing that together. But this is how you treat, like, when O'Connell says that teams fail young quarterbacks more than young QBs fail teams, like, this is the action of, okay, show me what you mean. Like, this is how you do it. You take the kid, and the McCarthy thing, where he deserves credit too, because it's very apparent he wants to learn, right? Like, you got to have a kid who's going to be, if Johnny Manziel had been told, hey, dude, here's what we got. We got a helmet cam on the quarterback, and you can watch. That dude's going to be in Vegas drinking and gambling. But McCarthy's wholehearted buy-in to this entire thing, and the fact that he went up to, a week or less after he got hurt, went up to Harrison Smith and said, let's talk about, sorry about that, Phillips. He went up to him and said, let's talk about what defensive linemen do. Let's get into that. I want to know. So, like, it's the perfect, at least it's the perfect coordination, I think, too, of how to raise a quarterback, which is what you're doing. You're raising a quarterback.
You are. I mean, he's 22, and you kind of alluded to the defensive scouting part, and that's another really good anecdote in this Seifert story. The Vikings knew they could not afford inattention with McCarthy, because Josh McCown had kind of talked about sometimes in the NFL, if you're a backup or you get hurt, which he's been those things in his decade and a half as a player, it's sort of out of sight, out of mind sometimes. And the Vikings knew they couldn't afford that type of inattention with McCarthy. So McCown developed a list of tasks and projects, some of them mundane and some at a higher level to include McCarthy in everything he could throughout the fall. Some weeks, McCown would ask McCarthy to write out every third down play the Vikings had in their weekly game plan so that the rest of the quarterbacks could refer to it while going through a film session. McCown said something like that is a tedious job, but it helps you memorize. And then we'd steal moments where we would quiz him or ask him questions about it just at random times whenever we could find time. And then another project included research and writing profiles of opposing defensive coordinators, including what coaching tree they came from, to help connect their schemes with other teams, as well as scouting reports on defensive players. So a lot of like kind of 30,000 foot. All right, as you're going through, and McCarthy talked about that at one of the, I think it was the minicamp press conference, that it actually gave me this layer of historical reference where, okay, we're getting into, week 4 against the Steelers. Well, I've already done a bunch of background on Mike Tomlin's style of defense. And once that week of preparation hits, I've got the macro prepped already just from like a year ago. Now I can focus on the minutia stuff, like the week-to-week stuff as you're game planning for the Steelers. So really interesting, the creative ways that they kept him involved like that.
If JJ McCarthy works out, if this goes well or really well, does Josh McCown become an OC or ascend right to a head coach next year, do you think? Because there's no question.
It's the type of profile that could probably just ascend to head coach because he played for so long at quarterback. He's got some success stories.
Who's the OC and Grant Udinski, right? From the Vikings that went there. And he's kind of now, I feel like, the new hot shot as well. I mean, he kind of rose up. He's super young. Liam Cohen's supposed to be this offensive guru here. He brings him in. Yeah, I would say McCown, too, is definitely on a fast track to be a next OC or potentially a head coach next year.
Yeah, because that story, I thought, did a really interesting and good job of shedding more light on McCown than, we knew he was involved, but he's pretty reluctant to talk publicly. He definitely attempted to, and it's probably smart, he kept a low profile last season as much as possible. So that story to me was really intriguing of, okay, O'Connell has X amount of time in a week, and he's going to spend some of it with McCarthy, but McCown sounds like he was the real facilitator of being the go-between, which, yeah, I think if this goes well, I think he gets a head coaching job. I think you're probably right, Phil.
Yeah. A couple other nuggets from this Seifert piece here. O'Connell assessed McCarthy's work this way, quote, "It's hard to sometimes know exactly how smart somebody is. What are they really going to be able to retain when they start loading a lot of information?" And I think JJ has demonstrated he's got a pretty high level of intelligence, and there's a lot there. And then McCarthy confirmed that over the course of the fall, he began writing in what he called a gratitude journal. I think Judd should start one of these for Purple Daily. Just just a daily practice of the things that we're grateful for on the show. It's a practice that McCarthy learned at the University of Michigan from life coach Greg Harden, who died in September. McCarthy believed that the gratitude journal would help him focus on the benefits of what he could do as a player on IR rather than fixating on what he could not do as an injured player. Glass half full.
Yeah, McCarthy goes, and is probably pretty smart. You can tell, goes to extremes to keep himself positive and grounded. And I think the fact that during COVID, when he was at IMG in Florida and fought through isolation and therefore some depression, I think that actually pays off because he does a lot of things to stay in the now, which I think for that job, I think you have to. Guy like me, I can be as negative as I want, and it's fine, right?
Don't you think there'd be even another level to Judd's happiness if he was journaling daily about the things he's grateful for, a morning meditation?
I feel like I would go the opposite way. I would journal about what pisses me off and stuff. But anyway, McCarthy is, as far as I can tell, extremely mature. And we don't know, I will always, and I think we all agree on this, we don't know people. We see them at podiums, we see them, and they can seem nice, and we don't know them. But that being said, everything I've seen as a professional from McCarthy has fit what you would want. If you were to say, bake me a quarterback. Like, what are the ingredients? Because there have been definitely some guys that have played quarterback who you might say, that'd be a hell of a tight end, but he ain't a quarterback. McCarthy has all of the attributes, and I think the fact that he also played for Jim Harbaugh in a system that wasn't necessarily geared to fit him perfectly, and we all know that Jim, while a character, is extremely demanding. There's just a lot of things here, I think, that fit the template of this is what you want from a quarterback mentality. And I'll say this, from that draft class, there are some guys where you're like, you're good, but what's your mentality like? With McCarthy, I think it's probably more what's your ability like, because mentality-wise, you fit the mold pretty damn well.
And also, if you were to put together, because there's no guarantees that even with this level of attention to an injured quarterback, that he's going to turn out to be, worthy of a top 10 pick. Like, time will tell if he actually pans out, right? We're all pretty optimistic at this point, and they're doing all the right things. But this is the type of process that you would emulate on paper. Like a year ago, if you were to say, okay, this dude's hurt, he could either be out of sight, out of mind until he's back and cleared for practice, and just be ignored because, hey, sorry, dude, train keeps moving. We're a 14-win team. I mean, keep in mind, these coaches, even though it's only an hour here or, a quarterback's coach taking some time over here, it wasn't like 20 hours a week working with McCarthy, but these coaches have packed schedules. They barely see their families. And when you're in the middle of a 14-win season and trying to make a playoff run, to carve out time from that yes. present thing and goal that you're chasing to put some eggs in the future basket, that's how you do it when it comes to developing a quarterback, as opposed not to compare McCarthy to like Kellen Mond, but the Vikings once upon a time drafted a quarterback in the 3rd round, Kellen Mond, and Mike Zimmer took a 5-second look at him in practice and was like, easy. I didn't want. Actually, after he was drafted, Mike Zimmer said, "I never wanted him in the first place."
He walked out of the room. He left the draft.
Now, even if you had Kevin O'Connell and attentiveness, I don't know that Kellen Mond would pan out.
Right.
But there are certain things that you probably have to do with young quarterbacks to lay the groundwork for their success, and the Vikings are at least clearly doing that with JJ McCarthy.
Yes, and I think the most important thing too, though, is the player, the young man in this case, has to buy in as well. Like you can try all you want with to go back again to a Johnny Manziel, right? Be like, okay, kid, you're going to be great. You're going to be fantastic. And he doesn't care. But like McCarthy cares deeply. So yeah, as far as what do you want on the opening day of training camp for the second season of a guy who couldn't play in his first year, this is what you want.
Yeah. God, the Manziel thing. We all saw that little documentary from he was up close and personal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I'm sure taught him a lot.
But I get that Manziel at the end of the day was either an addict and or an alcoholic, and there were some internal forces there that were maybe different than some other players. But you get that one shot in your early 20s that if you just hunker down, take it seriously, study, put in the work, get some sleep, you might make $500 million over the course of the next 15 years in salary and endorsements. And instead you wanted to go to Bellagio on a Friday before a Sunday game and party your face off.
And do you know how many driven people who love sports, right, would give anything for an iota of the talent that guy had? Like, that guy was a dominant Division I college QB. Now, it's not the National Football League, but it's not easy.
Yeah, but sometimes, and this is the ultimate, like Manziel is an extreme example, but there's also a lot of other quarterbacks that you're trying to match up the mental side of the most complicated, hardest position in all of sports with your physical prime that might get you into your mid-30s. And can you marry those two things together for as many years as possible? And, like Johnny Manziel now probably lives with a lot of regret, right? Like, man, if I could have just gotten a handle on my life and hunkered down, my life would be a lot different right now. The fact that JJ McCarthy at age 22 seems to take it all very, very seriously in terms of the study, the preparation, just the magnitude of that job. He's ahead of a lot of other quarterbacks. A lot of quarterbacks think that they do, but maybe they get caught up in other things and the fame of it all, or I conquered my rookie season, and therefore he seems to have an appreciation for how hard it is and he seems to go above and beyond even what like the coaches are asking of him. So none of this guarantees that he's going to be a Pro Bowler or live up to, but this is the groundwork that you'd like to see in the first 12 months.
I think there was a long time, rightfully so, where we would not have trusted the powers that be as far as the front office and coaching staff to develop a QB. And we saw them try with a few. Now, I think Teddy did. See, I think Teddy had the mindset, which was great. But, Ponder, if he arrived, and I do think, he's a smart guy and he wanted to work. If he had arrived and they had given him an iota of the right direction, and I'm not saying he would have been great, but he gets thrown in like with no real help. He gets thrown into that with a bad team, that Monday night debacle against the Bears, and told, "Hey, kid, go." Hey, kid, go. And this is a situation where, and there's the most important thing. I think even if it fails, you're going to have faith that they took the right steps. And that's all that you can ask, that both sides did. So you don't have a quarterback who's trying to go out and party, and you don't have a coach who doesn't really give a damn, and an OC who's like, okay, I'll do my best. You've got both sides trying to work towards the greater good of developing the first franchise quarterback. 65 years. This year will be year 65, I believe. And I think we can honestly say, franchise QB-wise, there's been one. There have been some good quarterbacks, but I think there's been one. I think Tarkenton,
one true one, and then two that you could debate: Tommy Kramer for longevity and Dante Culpepper for his peak. But that's the list.
Yeah,
that's pretty much the list.
But like when you think about franchise QBs, at the very least, I think you have to be in the ring of honor, correct? Which Tarkenton is. His number is retired. Kramer's not. Dante's not. So, like, those things just fell short. But which is in the past. It's fine. But the point is, I think this kid you're giving this kid the chance to be that guy.
And some people are going to obviously argue that Kirk might be the second best quarterback in franchise history. But then that gets into the semantics of, like, he was hired as a mercenary. Yeah. And then they renewed the mercenary contract 2 or 3 more times. Yeah. And, like, he wasn't cultivated here. He wasn't drafted here. He came in to finish a job. Obviously, we've exhausted that conversation. But I don't consider, even though he was maybe the second most productive quarterback in Vikings history, just numbers and longevity and all those things, I don't consider him a franchise quarterback because you went out and you grabbed it from a bin and put it in your cart, and it didn't live up to the expectation from a team standpoint.
And he didn't win one, but Tark got to 3 Super Bowls as a Viking. Like, I think if we're going to talk about, like, what is if asked to define a franchise QB, right? Okay, winning a Super Bowl is it, but getting to one, I think, is not that gets you the title. That gets you, if JJ McCarthy gets to 3 Super Bowls, I hope he wins one, but the point is, this team has not been to a Super Bowl now since January of 77. And that's with Kramer, that's with Culpepper, that's with a lot of guys. So, yeah, I agree with you. This guarantees nothing, but it's been a long time since I've been this confident that a team in this town, in the Vikings in particular, have taken the right steps with this position to get the most from the player.
Yeah, amen.
Hey, is that some Vikings news I see?
Yeah, did you know? From Alec Lewis here, from The Athletic, that the Chicago Bears apparently almost drafted JJ McCarthy?
I did not. I did not know that.
Alec Lewis chatted with Greg Holcomb, who is a respected quarterback coach who's worked with JJ McCarthy and some others. And he told The Athletic that he found himself talking with Bears general manager Ryan Poles about McCarthy after the 2024 draft. Quote from Greg Holcomb, respected quarterback coach. Poles was talking about how much they love JJ. And he said to me, I don't think people realize how close we were to possibly drafting him. Obviously, they love Caleb Williams, but I thought that was interesting. Mm-hmm. What do you think of that? Would they have traded back? Because there were some teams looking to get up, including, by the way, maybe the Vikings trying to get up, poking around for like the Drake Mays or
Yeah.
maybe Caleb Williams. But the one thing that stands out here is that people, to me, you go back a year and a half, and we'll see on Caleb, but people mistakenly, including the Bears potentially, slotted him in as a can't-miss, no-brainer, generational, number one. You have to take him in the same way that you had to take Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck or, there's been like 2 or 3 of these in the last maybe 20 years. And he's not that. He's not. Jaden Daniels showed you that right away in the first season. Now maybe maybe Jaden takes a step back and then Caleb passes him, but he's not refined enough in the pocket. He's not emotionally mature enough necessarily at the early stage in his career. So if nothing else, if you're the Bears, you're probably a little less. No, JJ, you haven't seen play yet, but watching the way that Jaden Daniels played, you're probably a little less confident in your stubbornness a year and a half ago than you were back in 2024.
My question on that quote, because it's definitely intriguing, is I would love to know what the rest of the conversation was. Because, Poles might have thought, we were also close on Daniels or May as well. So I would like to know, that reads like it was Caleb or McCarthy, which I'm not buying. The fact that this guy is close to JJ to me says that Poles was probably saying, "Oh, we loved your guy too." It's a great quote, but I'm guessing that there was more guys. If that's what he's trying to say, there were more guys in the hopper than just those 2 guys.
Yeah,
don't you
it felt
think?
like they didn't do a lot of due diligence according to reports. I'm sure they did sleuthing and stuff, but they were kind of fixated on Caleb Williams from the get-go, and it was pushback, according to reports from Caleb's camp, worried about the Bears' history of wrecking quarterbacks, right? He wanted to, and that was the report from the book, right? That he wanted to come here, and so I just thought that was interesting. And maybe you're right. Maybe the real answer here is we considered 3. We loved 3 or 4 of these guys, and we wound up taking,
because the Vikings list was what? I think that they knew that they weren't going to get Caleb, but they definitely, it sounded like their first choice was Drake May, right?
That's what the buzz sort of felt like.
Yeah.
But that's also, first choice is relative, because maybe Caleb was their first choice if you looked at their big board, but they found out that he was unavailable.
I think that's right.
And then they found out that Jaden Daniels their first choice, but he was unattainable because Washington wasn't moving off the 2. I don't know.
Of the options I think that the Vikings thought were realistic, my guess is that their board was Caleb crossed off because he was clearly going to go 1. I think it was Drake May, Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
Although there's been talk about Penix too, Phil.
There has been.
There's no question that O'Connell loved that arm. Penix's arm enthralled O'Connell.
Yeah, but that's like, sometimes we treat this conversation like there's only one right answer to this test. Which one did they like? Well, and there's other drafts where it's like, okay, there was 3 stud. Was it Elway or Marino that you liked best?
But this is why the Vikings' timing for once was so good. Because this draft, this draft, at the end of the day, the first round of the quarterbacks looks really good. The Ponder draft had a lot of quarterbacks. Most of them, aside from Cam Newton, completely flopped.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is, are you taking a quarterback because it's a deep draft and you really like one, or are you taking one because you're forced to and the quarterbacks available aren't really that good?
Yeah. By the way, if there was a big board for best golf courses in the Twin Cities, I think we know which one would be sitting atop Declan's big board. That's
right. Maybe the Meadows and Mystic Lake. In fact, look at this patio. I've been talking about the patio for a while now. This is not just maybe a chair or 2 and an umbrella. No, this is a full big patio that you get to look right over there right before you tee off on hole 1 at the Meadows at Mystic Lake. You can grab a pint there after your round or near the turn, whatever you'd like to do there. Plus, you can go to golfthemeadows.com, check out that tee sheet to book that next tee time. Heck, Vikings tickets, I believe, are going on sale here in a couple days. If you're planning to come up here for a Vikings game, you should stop the Meadows at Mystic Lake and get around it and go to golfthemeadows.com to book that next tee time.
This could all be part of a day-long, maybe multi-day combination of golf and having your home remodeled. You could book a project with Minnesota Rusco, Minnesota's hometown remodeler since 1955. But it's not because you book it and then you go golf for 4 or 5 hours. What did you think I was going to say? That you would sit there and help the experts?
know. It just seems
Let
like
them
a lot.
do their job. Cody and Casey, almost 70 years of it. Well, Cody and Casey are not quite 70 years old, but the company has 70 years of experience that you can count on. And in July, all sorts of things that you can get 15% off. In fact, everything at Minnesota Rusco is 15% off. Kitchens, bathrooms, windows, siding, roofing, decks, doors, everything is 15% off. No payments, no interest for 12 months. So if you've been thinking about some sort of remodeling or renovation of a room or a big chunk of your home, interior, exterior, Minnesota Rusco can help you. Again, serving Minnesotans since 1955, minnesotarusco.com. Okay. Latest Vikings news. Do we have a Judd's Camp Notes preview item of the day, or did we exhaust those already over the weekend? I'm putting you on the spot.
Funny you asked about that. Yes, but guess what? Judd's Camp Notes sat down at the old Substack yesterday and came up with 5 storylines.
Oh, okay.
5 storylines for training camp. Now, some of them have been we've explored, but not all. So let me pull up this right now and see one that we have not explored.
Sure.
I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to go with the quarterback one, but not McCarthy. We talked about McCarthy. He's the starter. He's going to get the first team reps. Hopefully, knock on wood, all goes well. Now it's nut cutting time on QB2, boys. And don't sleep on this. I've been telling you about this for a few months now. Do not sleep on QB2. Sam Howell. So we all assume that O'Connell and McGowan are going to be watching McCarthy very closely, which they will, but they're also going to be watching QB2. Sam Howell, keep in mind, the Vikings' first choice was to keep Daniel Jones. He would come in as the backup. I think he would have gotten sort of a look-see. Like, I don't think he would have been a hardcore competition, but I think that, he definitely would have gotten a few first-team reps. So then all falls apart. Jones goes to the Colts. During the draft, the Vikings trade basically nothing to the Seattle Seahawks for Sam Howell. I told you during the workouts that I saw, the arm, not impressive. The interception total career-wise is terrible. Now, he did play on that terrible Commanders team, so probably not all his fault. But nonetheless, you got a couple of things here to watch for. One is Brett Rippon going to be allowed to compete for the second team job? And I would not dismiss the possibility that Brett Rippon is going to get far more of a look than he would have if Daniel Jones had stuck here and played here, okay? That's the first one. The second one, if it does not go well in training camp and preseason games, is would the Vikings bail out on Howell and look elsewhere? And I will continue to emphasize this point, and I've gotten notes about, well, that's crazy, blah, blah, blah. Okay. It's the whole, well, if McCarthy gets hurt, they're screwed. Well, if McCarthy gets hurt, it's done, okay? Don't forget, when Cousins got hurt, and they were literally using Elmer's glue to stick guys in, right? Oh, I hope this works. I hope this works. I hope this works. At the end of that year, Mark Wilf unequivocally said, that's not an excuse. Like, we don't just bail because, yes, it hurts, but we don't bail because our QB got hurt. No matter what you think out there in PD land, the Minnesota Vikings have set a standard then of you're a quarterback guy. We need to continue to win. It might not be pretty, but you also have the resources. Your defense revamped. The offensive line was not redone, so if McCarthy gets hurt, everyone can start crying and throw up their hands. So the Sam Howell intrigue to me is real. Don't sleep on the importance of what he does or does not do, because I don't think he's guaranteed that job. I think he's going to have to earn the backup job.
And there's a couple teams. I mean, the Browns most notably. I know they went and acquired Kenny Pickett a few months ago, but then after that happened, they drafted 2 quarterbacks. Joe Flacco now looks like he's in line to start the season, unless he gets beat out by one of the younger guys. So there's guys like more established players who've started more games and have had, I wouldn't say a ton of success in Kenny Pickett, but there's guys like that out there that you could probably go and make a move for. The Rippon just seems like a future position coach to me.
I agree with you. I agree completely.
That feels a little Sean Mannion like.
It does. It does. But I guess what I'm saying is leave the door open for the possibility that Howell is not the guy.
Yeah. Yep. I on one hand, I tend to trust if Kevin O'Connell, even if it was like the third or fourth option, greenlit Sam Howell coming in, that they must see something in him. But there were enough red flags with his performance, taking sacks, throwing interceptions. Definitely not a lock. So that is a good little sub story to keep an eye on.
He might be Nick Mullins with, if this is possible, a worse turnover gene and a much weaker arm. Those are not good things.
A worse turnover gene than Nick Mullins has a really bad turnover gene.
I'm just saying,
like one of the worst in the NFL.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But the other thing is, Mullins' mistaken confidence was his arm. If Sam Howell does that, it's a gong show because he doesn't have the arm. So just keep your eyes on QB2. While you're watching QB1 out there, keep your eyes on QB2.
Yeah. Got one more thing for you guys before we get to the random Viking of the week.
Latest Vikings news.
ESPN.com ranked all 32 rosters in the NFL. And I'll just give you the high-level summary here. Number 1, Baltimore Ravens. Feels like they've had a Super Bowl roster for a few years now, but they just keep tripping in the playoffs.
It's starters, right? I thought it was
starters.
Starters.
Okay, so it's
not the 53 or projected 53.
It's projected starting lineup,
Yep.
detailing the strongest and weakest position groups for every team. So, so not the full-on 53, but the Ravens ranked number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles number 2, not a shock. Lions number 3, not really a shock. Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs at 5. Their defense is better than. You could say, well, what about their skill position players and offensive line erosion? But they still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have an excellent defense. Number 6, the Broncos, with a really good offensive line and a really good defense.
Yep.
And Bo Nix just doing enough to this point. Commanders 7, Rams 8, Bengals 9.
That's no.
Not if your 2 star edge rushers don't come to camp. By the way,
no kidding.
Trey Hendrickson posted a photo this morning on his Instagram. He drove to Jacksonville from Cincinnati just to say, like, not only am I not coming to camp, I'm literally going to drive to Florida and hang out. We are so far apart on this contract.
That's a weird place to drive.
Is he from Jacksonville? He must.
I don't know, but I ain't going near Jacksonville. No, stop. I'm not going near Jacksonville. I still can't believe that they've got a team.
Yeah, he must have. I don't know.
I'm down in that city.
Niners are 10th on this list.
Interesting.
Even though they've lost a lot of key players. And the Vikings are 11th, with the biggest strength being their defensive front. Biggest weakness, cornerback. X factor, JJ McCarthy. Non-starter to know, wide receiver Rondale Moore, a 2021 second-round pick. Moore never put up more than 435 receiving yards in a season during 3 seasons with the Cardinals. Was traded to Atlanta, missed the entire year with a knee injury. I feel like we haven't talked much about Rondale Moore because he's such a question mark with the injuries. Correct. And then they drafted Ty Felton in the 3rd round.
Yes. If he's healthy, then yes. But he's the one guy that O'Connell said, I think it was in April or March, O'Connell basically said he might be the one guy who's not prepared to start training camp. So if you're going to say that in March, I'm going to be very skeptical until he actually is playing.
What would it take for the Vikings to go from like 11th to 5th? I think it would if JJ McCarthy and Dallas Turner are both awesome.
Yep.
They
McCarthy.
vault pretty high up from 11. Like they definitely hop above the Bengals, and a couple of these other teams, the Niners.
Yeah, the skill position guys are locked in. Like I don't like does Jefferson, Addison, and I guess maybe Hawkinson because he had a kind of a lost year. Like, is there another gear that are those 3 collection of dudes? We know who they are, and they're some of the best. So it's the unknown question mark. So if McCarthy obviously steps up huge. If maybe, I know the cornerback room is the weakest, and I think that's a fair assessment. What if Jeff Okudah all of a sudden is badass, or Mekhi Blackman's coming off his injury, and he's phenomenal too. So it's the areas where there's some question marks that would probably vault them into the top 5, top 10.
What's weird about the Bengals being ranked, what, Phil, you said 9th?
Mm-hmm.
What's weird about that is that's totally based on their offensive starters.
Mm-hmm.
So like Joe Burrow, like that must be in large part, I would guess, the Burrow bump. Like if you look at their starters on defense, you're smoking something if you put them 9th.
And obviously, they are accounting for Trey Hendrickson and Shamar Stewart, their first-round pick, is the only unsigned. They're accounting for those guys in this exercise, but those guys are not close to playing right now.
Yeah, but that defense struggled last season, correct?
Terrible secondary.
Horrible. Yeah, so, I mean, great.
Yeah, it's a little shocking, I guess, the Bengals at 9.
The Vikings should be top 10, but I would be I would just change for the time being them and the Bengals, for sure.
Packers 14th. Bears 15th on this list. So you have all 4 NFC North teams in the top 15 on this little roster exercise here. So
the pressure mounts, man. The pressure on the Bears is mounting.
Vikings news.
We love Vikings news too, Judd, but that's the end of our journey here on latest Vikings news every week on Purple Daily. Before you bring us a random Viking of the week, for hockey fans who also are football fans, one of your favorite events is coming to town later this year.
If you want to see Sports Dad act like a kid and get giddy and excited, then just ask him about the upcoming World Junior Hockey Championships, which is a bucket list item for 10 glorious days. Starts on December 26th, the day after Christmas at Grand Casino, and also on the U of M campus. This is what I consider to be the best annual tournament in hockey. It's a who's who of future pros. Absolutely fantastic. It runs through January 5th, but you can lock in your tickets now. Group play packages are on sale now. Go to worldjuniorsmn26.com. That's worldjuniorsmn26.com for all of the information. But this is going to be 10 days of fantastic hockey. And again, like I said, I'm 55. I'll be 15. I'll be so excited about this.
Wow. Teenage sports dad. Yeah. So it's time for the random Viking of the week. We've done 11 of these in the reincarnated version of this segment. I have 7 wins. Judd has 3. Declan has 1. Declan got on the board with Brooks Bollinger last week. It's now Judd's turn to throw out the clues here. So Judd had a 3-game winning streak before that, ended my 7-game winning streak. Wade Wilson, Donovan McNabb, and Ray Edwards were the 3 that Judd got correct. So Judd's got the clues. We get up to 3 incorrect guesses each. If one of us hits that 3rd strike, the other one wins automatically. Here we go.
Let's do it.
All right. Clue number 1. This random Viking was a 3rd round pick. He was recruited out of high school as a quarterback. And in fact, he began his collegiate career at that position before being moved to another spot on offense.
In college, so he
Correct.
played some QB in college.
He did play some QB in college, though. Okay. Yeah, he started off playing some QB. Yeah. In high school, this athlete lettered in track and field. And he participated in the following events: 100-meter dash, 200-meter dash, and the long jump.
Wow, okay. Track star.
That's right. That's impressive.
3rd round pick, huh? 3rd round pick. Son of a...
This random Viking is a 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Wow.
And in fact, in those 2 Super Bowls, he caught 5 passes combined for 30 yards.
Stud.
Oh, who is this?
Just a stud.
Guy with good hands is what this is. Good hands. His first reception in the National Football League was on a throw from Matt Castle. And it went for 1 yard.
Oh, man.
Okay, I'll take a guess.
Yep.
Mike Wallace.
Nope.
I think He won one Super Bowl. He won one with the Steelers.
Strike one on Declan. This random Viking and two-time Super Bowl champion played for 3 teams in his career. 3 NFL teams.
Just kind of laying low here. Low here.
He finished his time as a Viking with 142 catches for 984 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Wow.
He played in 58 games as a Viking and made 14 starts.
Matty Castle. You son of a... Matty Castle. Is this Jerick McKinnon?
Oh,
This is
damn.
Jerick McKinnon.
Damn it!
Oh, just chilling over here in the
I put that right in
weeds.
both of your
Just
wheelhouses.
chilling in
I
the
love
weeds
Jerick.
over here.
I know. Declan's a big Jerick McKinnon guy. I put this both in your wheelhouses.
Let's
Middle.
go, dude.
Middle.
Boy,
Jet.
I feel like Scotty Scheffler right now. Just,
But what does it mean?
It looks like a tough up and down over there, Jim. What do you think? He's looks like the ball's kind
You
of
know what,
buried.
though?
Scotty's like, nah, dude,
You know what, though?
got this.
So you won. So what? I
Okay,
mean, what does it mean?
Okay, Shania Twain. All right.
Scotty Scheffler, sports nihilist.
Yes.
See here.
I won another one. I just don't care.
You're excited for like 2 minutes, and then you're thinking about what's for dinner. Nothing really matters.
Where are we going? Where are we going for dinner?
It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. All right. Well,
Phil.
congratulations
Back
to
on the board.
me. That's right.
Well,
Big
you know,
victory.
here's the one question that we all have.
Mm-hmm.
How did you cheat this time?
Yeah, I had not only did I have Google open, I also had, what's the other one, the Edge one? Is it Bing? Or did Bing get bought? I don't know.
Oh,
I had
God.
Ask
Was it
Jeeves.
Bing from like 1842?
Lycos. I had the Lycos search.
Here's
search
a
bar open.
picture of a young Declan, younger, when I worked at Go and Bring Me the News with a Jerick McKinnon in Mankato. Actually, speaking of camp,
Oh, look at you guys.
we were doing.
Is he
what
like
were we
holding
doing?
your muscles?
Yeah, we
What
were.
was that all about?
We were doing some bit. Oh, I'm trying to remember what it was. We were doing something where I was asking random Vikings players like arm wrestling questions. I think like who would win in an arm wrestling match. I think is what it was.
Okay.
And somehow Jerick McKinnon looked at my arm and said like, "Are you gonna win an arm?" I was like, "There's no chance that's happening, Jerick McKinnon."
Derek's like,
So
I can't beat many guys in that locker room, but I know I can beat you
Beat me.
in an arm wrestle.
Yeah.
I tried to be as fair as possible.
I don't
I
think.
was
Yeah,
thinking-
no one's questioning the
Yeah.
fairness.
Oh
of
no,
it.
no, but I'm
the
saying I
Mike
tried
the
to
Mike Wallace guess felt a little panicky. A little
Yeah, I was
panicky.
panicky.
We're
I did.
going after fellow contestants now. I like.
Yeah,
that.
no, I
You screwed up.
I felt that was fine. But I mean, Mike Wallace and McKinnon were teammates, right?
Yeah, but like his first career catch came from Matt Castle.
I tried to use catch a lot there just to sort of throw off the.
That's right.
sense of
I was like,
obvious
is he
running
being
back.
is he being this obvious,
Yeah.
trying to lead us to receiver, or is it something?
But I
was
don't
going-
think I think I gave the Mike Wallace guess before the first reception from Matt Castle because
Yeah, I
he
think you
said the
did.
Super Bowl winner and
You're
the
right,
5
you're
passes for 30 yards.
said
So
Pittsburgh.
that was before the
I
Matt
think
Castle
if we
thing.
reviewed the tape, I think it was after that clue.
I
I
thought
feel
it
like it was
before,
after
too.
that clue. Maybe
I
the
thought
audience.
before, too.
can-
My next clue was he rushed for 1,000 yards as a Viking in 4 years.
in 4 years.
But I was going to leave the ellipses there. So you'd be like, oh man, I'm a 1,000-yard rusher. And anyway, all right.
So there's your random Viking of the week here. Back on the board. Dex will give the clues next week. Look out for a bonus Purple Daily with our guy, Darren Doogie Wolfson, where we will lay some groundwork for the injuries to keep an eye on. We have a Will Fries update from Doogie. There's already one of the Vikings draft picks on the PUP list to start training camp. So, and a guy that showed up on the Mr. Mankato watch list. So that's the same guy, like the draft pick who showed up on the watch list. So we'll do that.
I got you.
Purple Daily. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. See ya.